Now, as a final step here in this program, I want to improve the error handling. Because of course I am checking for errors in various places, but here in prices.go, I'm not really letting the process method know about failures when loading the data, for example, and I don't let it know about failures when writing the result. And that of course should not be the case. Because if reading the lines fails, if reading the input data fails, we of course want to stop processing here. We don't want to continue. Therefore, load data should actually also return an error. And if we got an error here, because reading the lines failed, for example, I want to return that error that I got, instead of printing it here. And the same is the case here. If converting strings to floats fails, I want to return that error from load data. Of course, if everything succeeds, I want to return nil. And the same for writing results. And therefore now here in process, we could get such an error, and hence I'll check if error is not equal to nil, and in that case I don't want to continue. I don't want to execute the rest of the code, because if loading the data failed, there is nothing that should be executed, because the rest of the code here will depend on valid input data. And I will actually forward that error one more time, from the process method to whichever place called process. Now, if writing the result fails, that already returns an error, and therefore I simply want to return that. So either an error or nil, depending on whether that worked. And that then allows us to go to the main.go file, and there, where I call process, we will now get back an error, and we can check if the error is not equal to nil, in which case we can use the FMT package to output could not process job, and then if we want to, output more details about the error. And therefore now, if things go wrong, we should also get an error. For example, if I try to read a file that doesn't exist by changing the file name such that it's invalid, if I run this now, I get could not process job, failed to open file. So that now works the way it should. But of course, with that, I'll now go back to the valid file name. But adding this better error handling is definitely something we might want to do here.